Hello everybody, welcome back to another downwerk YouTube video. As you can see, I'm standing next to the engine bay of my S13 and surprise, surprise, it's a little bit different than last time. What we're doing in today's video is making sure to put the car together, putting everything together, finishing the last steps so we can get the car to get mapped. And the first step we had to do, the first big step we had to do was finish the engine bay. Actually, it's not finished. There's one pipe missing, but we're gonna put that in right after the video. As you can see, we finished all the venting. We finished the fuel lines, except for this one. We have to order one fitting for it. We're gonna spin it around 180 degrees here, put it back here, and then feed it here from the fuel filter. The rest is done. We got this powder coated. We deleted all the small valves so we can run the drive-by-wire throttle body. I think it's 68 millimeters with an adapter to 3-inch. We also put in the new intake air temperature sensor. What we still have to do is connect this port to the map sensor. The fuel pressure regulator is already connected. We put in the expansion tank. We put the radiator back in with the fan shroud. We built some brackets specific. I think you cannot see them from up top, but we can show you from the bottom later. We built some specific brackets for that. We also built the bracket for the catch can and the fuel pressure regulator and the fuel filter. That's all custom built here in our workshop. It was powder coated, so it looks nice. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's put together. There's not that much missing. Pretty much it's just about filling all the fluids, and otherwise it's done engine bay wise. So now we are going to finish under the car. I'm gonna give you a quick run through of the to-do lists. So the first thing we have to do is put in the second sensor of the differential, fill it, and also we forgot to put in the diff breather valve, so we have to take it out one more time, which is not that big of a deal because we also have to swap all the bolts of the drive shafts here to the main drive line. Pretty much all bolts that are still old, we ordered all of them new, so we are gonna put every new bolt in now. Then the next thing we have to do is fill the gearbox oil. Then we have to put in the front wheel speed sensors here, which we got new from Japan. Then we have to complete our fuel system, because as you may have seen in the intro already, we swapped from fuel lines to AN lines from the tank, from the fuel pump sending unit to our undercar lines. So we have to build some AN6 lines. Then we have to do a fuel vent line, which vents from the fuel tank up here. Then we have to swap some bolts also on the front subframe. Then we have to swap out the engine mounts. We have now polyurethane ones, but they are for the S13. And we want to get down a few millimeters with the engine, so we are not hitting with the downpipe on the underbody. And I think the CA mounts are like 7 to 8 millimeters lower, so that gives us the clearance we need. So we got some Nissan engine mounts for the CA. Then we have to put in one last bolt on the turbo right here. And then we have to put in the cotter pins on the front and rear axle. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what we are going to be doing for under the car and outside the car. For the car's body, there are also some things remaining. As you may be able to see, the doors are off. The fenders are also off and the front bumper is also off. So we are going to have to put all of that back. Why did we do that? We swapped the door hangers and the door pins and everything around it because we wanted to the doors to close like new. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We also have to correct the fitment of the filler neck, of the fuel filler neck, because it's not perfectly aligned to the filler neck hole yet, but we're gonna fix that. And the last thing we have to deal with, if you look here, there's a little bit of a gap here where the number plate is supposed to sit, and that's because the number plate is glued, and we have to remove that with a small tool, and so it fits flush. And we also have to put in, if you look right here, there are the lights for the number plate. They are still missing, and we also have to put that in. That's for around the car. And the last thing to do, remove the gauges in the center, because we got a CAN gauge which can display us every single thing that the ECU knows on the display, up to 4 values at the same time, up to 4 different temperatures, pressures, for example, exhaust temperature, for example, fuel pressure, etc., etc., and you can set it up the way you want to. So the old gauges are getting out of the car, and there's only 1 gauge then remaining, which we are going to put in. Then we have to fix the radio wiring, because I don't want the car to catch on fire because of some sketchy wiring done in Bulgaria, so we are also going to address that. And the last 2 things to do, the final things to do, swap the speedo for the Nismo old logo one, and then swap the steering wheel for the 365A. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we have left to do before we can send the car to get mapped.
So in order to take the diff out, you pretty much undo both axles and also the main drive shaft. Then you can pretty much drop the differential out of the car. There are just 4 nuts in the back that are holding the diff, and obviously the main mounts in the front. Then we also swapped out both engine mounts for the right ones. The other ones were for the SR20. Now they're Nismo CA18DT engine mounts, which are quite a little bit lower. So the engine sits a little bit lower than before, which gives us clearance to the strut bar in the front and other things. So after taking the diff out, the plan was to change all the bolts to new ones. Here you can see how we got all the part numbers. This is the Nissan EPC, the electronic parts catalog. So we know where we can find stuff to order it, and also helps us when assembling everything. Then we also needed to change the old breather for a new one. As seen here, it's not in best shape anymore. New one goes straight in, just needs a little bit of love taps and it's in there, which is quite easy to do. And we of course ordered everything new from Nissan, so every bolt is brand new. As you can see here, we are just changing all the bolts out, obviously retighten them with the correct torque specs, just to be sure that the rear differential cover is not leaking any oil after filling it. Also the drain plug as well as the fill plug was renewed. We just put a little bit of Nissan RTV on it, so it's sealed up pretty nice. Also torqued it down with the right specs. And then we're pretty much ready to fill the oil into the diff.
So, due to unfortunate circumstances, the last 3 days of recordings have been lost. But here's the finished result instead.
اسود اسود احمر احمر تك تك مو اذا بدك تعطش اشرب جوس وين منك بنشوف الدوم دير بالك زي تك تك مو اذا بدك تعطش اشرب جوس